So we have a tradition here at Beth Adam of reading Midrash, Jewish legend, rabbinic legend, legends that rabbis have written over the centuries to expand and interpret and have fun with, if you will, the biblical text. We've been writing, we being the rabbis of Congregation Beth Adam, we engage in creating modern Midrash. So tonight you're going to hear a Midrash, a Jewish legend, a story that's based upon the Torah portion we're going to be reading and examining tomorrow at Rosh Hashanah and next week on Yom Kippur. Now at Beth Adam we don't read the rabbinically assigned Torah portions. We rabbis get to assign them to ourselves, right? It's a lot more fun. And we get to explore more of the Bible this way. So we picked out a portion that I promise you is in the book of Genesis, chapter 38. And one of the characters, I bet most of you know, Judah. Judah, right? Place became a tribe of Judah. You know that. But there's a little bitty story sort of stuck in there with Judah and his daughter-in-law named Tamar. Now I'm going to read a Midrash based upon this. If it's a little bit outlandish, it's not me. Really, not this time. There are other times it's me. This time it really is the text itself. So we'll read it, and then tomorrow Rabbi Baum is going to read from the Torah, and we're going to start to unravel the story and the following week. The crowd began to thin as they realized they were not going to see the woman burned at the stake. They had all gathered around the massive fire to see Tamar burn for playing the harlot and now being with child. But the ghoulish curiosity of the onlookers was not going to be rewarded this day, for Tamar was no fool. With her wrists now released and her sentence rescinded, she walked with her head held high past the onlookers and past Judah, her father-in-law, who had declared both her guilt and then her innocence. Judah, who had returned to his home, was startled to hear a voice. He thought he was alone. And when he heard the word hypocrite, he was stunned. Who was this that dared to enter his home? Who was this that taunted him? It was a voice he recognized. It was a woman's voice, a voice that in the past had soothed him when he was anxious, a voice that consoled him when he was lost, a voice that had whispered in his ear when he was lonely. But now she spoke not words of solace or desire, but rather words to shame Judah for his behavior. As he turned and he looked into this woman's eyes he had stared in many times before, he was first drawn back to those nights of passion. Nights when he saw comfort in her arms. But when she called out, hypocrite, again, he was brought back to this place, to this moment, to this reality. How dare you call me a hypocrite? Lashed out Judah. I was simply fulfilling my responsibility as the head of any household must, declaring that Tamar, my daughter-in-law, should be burned at the stake for playing the harlot, for being unfaithful to the man to whom she was betrothed, my son Shelah. That was a violation. That was a trespass of the law. How was I to know that she was with my child and that she was the harlot with whom I had sought comfort? You hypocrite, spoke the woman. You came to me before your wife died, and you came to me afterwards as well. You saw no problem in violating your marriage bed with me, but without a hint of hesitation or remorse, you were prepared to have your own daughter-in-law burned at the stake. You're a hypocrite. But more, you're a foul man who indulges his desires and then does not hesitate to call another sinner. She violated the law, not I. declared Judah. I didn't write the laws. I didn't create them. The laws were handed down from generation to generation, and I, as head of household, must enforce them. Tamar had been married to my first son, Er, but before she could bear him a child, he died. No progeny to pass his inheritance to, Judah said. So Tamar, under the laws of our land, was to become my next son's wife. But Onan did not fulfill his responsibility to get her pregnant, and he was punished, and he died. Again, no child, no one to carry on my first son's name, to claim his inheritance. So Tamar was then pledged to my next son, my third son, Shelah. And though he was young, it was Tamar's responsibility to wait as long as necessary, to wait until I, as head of household, determined they could be together, so that she could become pregnant through him. And so finally, my first son, Er, now long since dead, would finally have an offspring. That is the law. That is what was expected of her. But she didn't wait. Tamar didn't wait. She was not willing to do her duty. She did not follow the laws of our people. She was willing to sleep with another and become pregnant by another, and for that she was to be punished. But you, spoke the woman, you never hesitated indulging your desires with others not your wife. That's acceptable, said Judah. It's how our ancestors decreed it should be. Women must be restrained. But men, they have desires. I didn't write the laws. I simply follow them, said Judah. You hypocrite, spoke the woman. When you came to me, I welcomed you into my home, into my bed. And Tamar, I thought she was simply a harlot, Judah declared, just one of many. She tricked me. She used me. She knew what she was doing. With a veil wrapped around her face, I didn't recognize her. She got what she desired. She became pregnant through me. And thus, I had to free her, not to burn her at the stake. Well, at least now my first son, Er, who died so long ago, finally has an heir. You are angry, said the woman, because people now know what kind of man you really are. For so long you acted as if you were better than the others. You looked down upon us from your perch, superior, self-righteous mug. Now the world knows who you really are. And to be bested by a woman, a young woman at that, you can hardly contain your rage. She is a determined woman who knew what she wanted and what she needed. How you hate it, to think that she didn't fear you and that she was able to outwit you. And the woman continued, when you walked out on me and said you had enough of me, I remember pleading. I remember sobbing, wondering what could I do to keep you from leaving. For so long I questioned myself, convinced that somehow I wasn't worthy of you. But now I see you for who you are, and I am delighted that she has exposed your true self. You are a hypocrite. And with that, the woman walked out of Judah's house, and he was alone.